Hi everyone, welcome to this beginner's oblique core workout. Today we're going to use the oblique wheels, the block, and the band that comes with it. We're going to just put our knees on the block over here, and we're just going to start this routine by just warming up the spine a little bit, warming up our shoulder blades. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do some cat-cow poses. So we're going to round our back and make it hollow, look up, round it back. Nice, just get some movement into that spine. We'll do 3 more. Last one. All right, now we're just going to move through that spine by turning it to one side, turning it in circles, rounding it at the top, making it hollow at the bottom. Go the other way. Make sure to use that neck as well. Very nice. All right, now we're going to just pay a little bit of attention to the positioning of our scapula. So we want our scapula during all these movements to be in kind of an active position. So instead of kind of sagging through, we want to be active in this position here. So we're just going to go through that movement a couple of times to activate our scapula. So we'll sink through, scapula together, and we push out. So we want our chest to raise to create some distance to the floor. And we want all of that to come from our scapula and not from the bending of our arms. One more thing to keep in mind is that we want to, as we're pushing out, to kind of turn those elbows inward. It's going to keep our scapula in a really nice, strong position. We'll do 2 more. Very nice. Now we're just going to get in our tabletop position. Remember now to keep that strong shoulder position. And from there on, we're going to do some bird dogs. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick up, in this case, our left hand and right leg. And we're going to stretch those out. Leg behind us, arm in front of us. And then we're going to bring them in, touch them in the middle, and bring them out again. Going to do that 2 more times. What we want to keep in mind is that we don't want that leg to just be very high. We want it to be stretched back as if that ankle is trying to reach as far back as possible. That was the last one. Touch the knee, place it back on the ground. Take a breath, relax those shoulders a little bit. Strong position again, and we do the other side. So stretch out and reach to the middle. We want to keep in mind that we don't want that lower back to arch too much. So we want to just keep everything as steady and straight as possible. Last one, and that's 4. So from here on, we're going to start working out with our oblique. So place it on the floor in front of you. What we're going to do is we're going to just start by warming up those shoulders. So our core is a little bit stable now. We fired it up a little bit. Now we want to reach into that extension under some tension. So what we want to do is we grab the oblique, the hand closest to the big wheel. We want to just free up that thumb. From there on, these hips are going to just stay in the same position. What we're going to do is we're going to sink through those shoulders, leaning into that arm that is extending the furthest. That is the arm at the big wheel side. Very nice. I'm going to do 6 of those. That's 4. 5. Leaning into that shoulder, feeling that stretch. Very nice. Now we're going to turn it around, do the other side. So lean into that shoulder. It's important to kind of relax your neck a little bit and let your face towards kind of the side behind you. 3 more. Last one. So now we've prepared our shoulder movement a little bit. For when we're later going to do this rollout, we want to move properly into that extension of our shoulders, but it's also really important to move fully into the extension of our hips. And a lot of times this kind of stays behind. So we want to teach our hips to not stay behind like this with this pelvic tilt, but we want to move it so that we're really extending fully through that hip, making a straight line here, engaging those glutes a little bit. How we're going to teach ourselves to do that is we're going to hold the device like this, and we're just going to sit on our knees. We're going to raise our arms, come up with those hips, and make a straight line of our body. We sink back in, and this is really mimicking that movement that we're going to do later on the floor. So we're going to do 8 of that. Try to engage that core already. Squeeze the glutes. Very nice. Last one. Great. So now we're ready to move into our first rollouts. And the first set we're going to do with our block. This block is going to help us move into that deeper extension without needing us to have so much core strength. So that's a great way to start. So we're going to place this block about 5 centimeters in front of our knees. Now we're going to get into this same tabletop position, and we want to just remember we want those hips tucked properly so we have a nice flat lower back, and as we're going to roll out, we want to move into that shoulder extension. The block is here so that we can kind of start laying down onto that block, but it's very important to remember that we don't want to lose that tension in our core. This is what's going to protect our back, but also allow us to get back up after we've done the exercise. So we take position, we roll out, these hips come forward, they find the block. From this point it will be a little bit easier. Keep that tension in the core and push your legs into the block to come back up. Push the legs into the block, never losing that core tension. 3, we'll do 1 more for 4. Great, we turn it around, put that block back in place. If it shifted a little bit, we turn those hips in and extend into that rollout, pushing back into the block on the way back. 2, 3, 4. Very nice. That's our first set of oblique rollouts. Now we're going to move onto our feet for a little bit of variation and a little bit of activation of the back. All right, so for the next exercise, we're going to get to our feet, and we're just going to hold the oblique wheels here. We're just going to put the mat to the side. We don't need it right now. What we're going to do is we're going to engage our posterior chain, so the back line all the way from your hamstrings to your back and up to your shoulders. So how we want to do that is we are going to combine this overhead extension with a RDL movement. And this RDL movement is when we place our feet about hip width. From there on, we're going to move those hips back keeping that back completely straight, keeping the legs continuously with this small bend, and moving the hips back forward again. So we're moving those hips back, our back comes down, and we come back into that position. This we want to combine with holding the oblique. And this adds a little bit of weight, but we're also able to put a little bit more tension on the core if we hold this bar actively. And what we mean by that is that we want to pull apart on the bar. So you're trying to rip that bar apart, and you're then combining those movements by pulling and moving into that overhead extension while you're moving your hips back as well. You'll really, really feel your back muscles working. You'll feel your hamstring stretching. I'm going to do 8 of these. Three more. And the last one. Very nice. So for this next exercise, we're going to do a similar movement, but in a more diagonal way. So we're going to put one foot in front of us for a kind of a lunge position, a split stance. We then hold the oblique with both hands in overgrip like this. Most importantly now for this exercise, that we want to put tension on the bar by trying to pull it apart a little bit. So you can just feel for yourself first, pull the bar apart, and you'll feel your core firing up already. We're going to start this movement to the side here, putting tension on the bar, and then moving it sidelong like this into overhead extension. Move it back. Going to do that 4 times. Keep tension on the bar. For the last one. Very nice. Move to the other side. So what you're feeling is this chain of muscles all the way here from your hip, all the way up to your shoulder, engaging and lengthening at the same time. So put tension on the bar, pull it apart. Try to look where your hands are going. Keep that tension, keep the core engaged. Gonna do one more. Very nice. So for these last few exercises, we are going to move back onto the floor. So we take position on our mat. And for this next set of oblique rollouts, we are going to use the band. So when we use the block, we were putting a little bit more emphasis on these shoulders. We were kind of taking the tension off the core. But with the band, we were able to really mimic the entire exercise, just making it slightly more accessible. What we're going to do is we're going to take our mat and we're going to use this as an anchoring point for the band. So we're going to just place it in this crease, hook it around it like that. Now we're going to just put our knees on it, and this is going to help keep that mat down, and it actually works very well to keep that band in place. Now, it is up to you how much tension you want to put on the band. So you loop it around the oblique. If you want to add a bit more tension, you just loop it around it a couple of times, and this will help you get a little bit more support. So we now want to get ourselves in our tabletop position with those hips tucked again. This time we're going to focus a little bit more on the side of our core. And how we're going to do that, we're just going to place our foot over the other ankle. So we want to put most of the weight on the side of the big wheel. As we're rolling out, we want to increase that kind of side tension by looking a little bit to the other direction. So we're moving into that movement, taking tension off the neck and leaning into that side. So we're rolling out. I look, in this case, to the left as far as possible and come back up. Now we're going to roll out again. We do it 4 times. And remember to keep those hips nicely extended. 2 more. Last one. Great, so we're going to turn the device around, make sure the band is properly in place. We're going to switch around the positioning of our feet. So we now have a bit more weight on the left side. We roll out, come back up. And just work in your own range. It's for everyone, it's a little bit different. And try to play around with that tension on the band. That's 4. You'll probably be feeling your core by now. So we're going to take this off. And to finish up this routine, we're just going to relax a little bit, take some tension off those shoulders, and just stretch and open up the front of the body. So we're just going to take position in this child's pose. So you want to stretch your arms in front of you. Maybe place your knees slightly further apart so you can sink through those hips. Feel the stretching of your shoulders, of your lats. Then we're going to come forward, get into that cobra pose, stretching those core muscles a little bit. Coming back to our knees. And we repeat that for a couple of times. That's 4. We do 4 more. Try to breathe through that exercise, especially when entering that child's pose. The last one. And come back to your knees. All right, that was it for this nice, short, but complete workout. Hopefully very accessible for the beginner, and you can slowly work your way up by removing the block, removing the band, and slowly getting to that oblique rollout without using any assistance. So thank you for following along. See you in the next one.